Man, how y'all feeling? How y'all living? It's AC Lucky back with another video, you feel me? Today's video is gonna be my thoughts on weed. I'm gonna give y'all my thoughts on weed and stuff like that. My thoughts on weed is like, weed is a beautiful thing when you think about it. Weed is really a beautiful thing, but like, weed is like a gift and a curse. It's like being the chosen one. Like, you know what I'm saying? You have a huge impact on the world and people's lives, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be hard. You're gonna go through the most obstacles, you're gonna go through the most pain, you're gonna go through the most dramatic shit in your life, but at the end of the day, it's for a purpose. You know what I'm saying? People is gonna misjudge you. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna try not to understand you, and they just not gonna understand you. But at the end of the day, you got a purpose on this earth, and you're gonna leave a huge impact on people's lives. That's weed. That shit, like, once you smoke it, you become aware of things. You become conscious. You become like, you begin to overthink. That's the curse about it. You begin to overthink and you begin to get addicted. Some people, they don't admit they got an addiction to it. But if you could take breaks without weed, go weeks without weed, months without weed, you don't got an addiction. But like, if you can't stop and like, you gotta keep smoking that shit, and you gotta smoke that shit to eat food, and you gotta smoke that shit to have fun, you got an addiction, my guy. You got addiction, my girl. Or somebody who watches this video, you got addiction. That's what you got to set. And some weed is not good weed. Some weed is not good weed. And some weed is not the weed. You know what I'm saying? So all the weed you smoking, it's not good weed. Some weed is fentanyl in weed, you feel me? Why you think it's hella junkies out here? Why you think it's people that's doing PCP? Why you think it's people that's, you know what I'm saying? I was saying they can't get high off weed no more. So it's like, they gotta find something else to get high off. And people who lace weed, they put fentanyl in weed so you get addicted to that shit. Cause the more you begin to smoke weed, you want that temporary high. You want that high. You like the first time you getting high, you want that high again. So you gonna keep smoking, and they gonna lace the weed. At the end of the day, this is their business. Whoever's selling weed, it's their business. It's their job to get you addicted to it. It's their job to sell you it. And when you're a drug dealer, don't you want people to buy your other drugs, your pills, your cocaine, all that other shit? Don't you want people to buy your other drugs? It's to keep money in your pocket. It's to keep your family good. You know what I'm saying? It's to keep your kid eating. It's to keep the new J's on their feet. So they put certain things in weed so you can get addicted, so you keep buying their product. You are the product. You know what I'm saying? You are the product. They just testing that shit on you. That's what you got to understand. Sometimes you got to look around you, really look around you and see what you see. What do you see when you look around you? You know what I'm saying? You got to take a step outside the box and really understand, like, some shit is just not meant. Some shit you just got to let go. And weed, my thoughts on weed, the beautiful side though, like, you become aware and you become more focused. Now, I'm not saying like all people not focused, but me, when I'm on weed, I'm more focused. And I could express myself. I could express myself more, and I understand my thoughts. And you become awake. That shit, weed just woke me up, and I came addicted to that shit. And I ain't know what I was going through until I set that shit down. So you gotta know how to control it, and you gotta understand, like, what are you getting out of this? Why are you smoking this plant? What's your purpose, and what's your intentions when you smoking this plant? Do you want to just get high, or do you want to find some answers to your problems, or do you want to just relax? Like, have intentions when you smoking. You feel me? Have intentions and understand, like, all weed is not good weed. All weed is not good weed. Just because that shit smell good, that shit stink, that don't mean that shit is good weed. You feel me? All weed's not good weed, so be careful what you put into your body. Even the medical shit out the store, that shit is not good weed, yo. Know what I'm saying? If you want to smoke weed, just plant your own weed, you feel me? Cause these weed mans, the stores and shit, that shit is GMO. That shit is not meant to go in our body. That shit is like rat poison for real. That shit is meant to keep us at a low vibration. That shit is meant to keep us like stuck. And it's meant to keep us in our head. Know what I'm saying? When you a weed smoker, you're just in your head a lot. And you know that. You in your head a lot, you have all these thoughts, and you forget to enjoy the moment. You forget to, like, be present. Like, when you smoke weed, you feel like you're not doing enough. Am I wrong? when you smoking weed, sometimes it feel like you're not doing enough. It feel like why the fuck is I'm doing this? And you feel stuck and you feel lost sometimes. So you gotta understand, like, it could come a problem in your life when you don't understand that shit, fam. It really can. So you gotta understand, like, you are the product. If you in the hood right now and you a kid right now, you just want to smoke, just be aware. This shit is real. They lace the weed, they put fentanyl so you get hooked on to that shit, and you gonna become hooked on to other drugs because you ain't gonna be able to get high off weed no more. If that makes sense. And I see that shit, and I know, and I see that shit because that shit is right in front of me. When that shit is right in front of you and you seen that shit growing up, and you see how that shit affected people, how weed affected people in the long run, you be like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? And some people, they don't know how to deal with their demons. They don't know how to sit with their problems, you know what I'm saying? So they begin to go to other different drugs to cope with their problems and feel that feeling. They want to feel something. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see a lot of people that want to be on these different type of drugs, because they want to feel something. They never felt something in a long time. That's why we don't get them high no more, because they smoke it until that shit rejuvenates in their body. It's gonna stick to your bones and shit, and it's gonna have a hard time. You have cold sweats, you're gonna have a hard time breathing, you're gonna have a hard time thinking clear. So always be conscious what you're doing. Be conscious, really be conscious. And if you are addicted, at least try to go 2 days without smoking that shit. Have a clear mind. You know what I'm saying? When you smoking this shit, you really don't have a clear mind. You know what I'm saying? You smoking as a reward. Get your job done, get whatever you gotta do, get it done. You feel me? You could live without weed. I'm telling you. Life is more peaceful without weed. You know what I'm saying? Life is more peaceful without weed. You feel me? And in the long run, you don't want to go down that route when you don't get high off weed no more. Now you got to go to other different drugs to feel that high again. That's why you see a lot of junkies. I'm real shit. That's why you see a lot of junkies. That's why you see a lot of people, they fucked up and they don't know how to deal with their problems, and they scared to deal with their demons, and they begin to talk to other people about their problems, and the other people don't understand their problems. Bro, at the end of the day, if you a man or a woman, nobody ain't gonna understand your problems. Nobody gonna understand what you're going through. They just gonna look at you as a person that's on drugs. So you gotta understand, you gotta release the drugs, whatever you're going through right now. You gotta release that shit and understand you gotta be by yourself. You gotta be there for yourself. You gotta stop hurting yourself. This body, you gotta love this body. You feel me? You really gotta love this body and stop hurting yourself, and understand, like, things gonna get better, and understand, like, this is not the only thing that you need. You don't need this. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be grateful for the things you have. You gotta be grateful for the people that you got around you. If you got your kids, you got your kids to live for. You know what I'm saying? You got grandkids, you got your grandkids to live for. You, like, you know what I'm saying? You got people to live for. So why is you try to destroy yourself with drugs? And you just destroying yourself. You don't know who you are when you look in the mirror. When you walk with your head down. When you walk with your head down. So you gotta understand, like, weed can come, it's a gift and a curse at the same time. You just gotta know how to use that shit. I'm not telling y'all to not smoke weed, but I'm just telling y'all, like, the benefits that come to this shit. Like, the good side of the shit, you become aware and shit. You become conscious, and you begin to know things about yourself when you begin to smoke it the right way. But if you just smoke it and you don't got no attention to the shit, you just gonna become addicted, and you just gonna use other drugs. You know what I'm saying? This shit is real out here. People really do put fentanyl and all types of shit in drugs to get you hooked on. You are the product. That's what you gotta understand. You are the product. So they gonna begin to finesse you and put, like, little shit in your weed so you get hooked on to other shit. At the end of the day, you are the product. You know what I'm saying? You are paying for their stuff. They test that shit out on you. It's like rat poison. You feel me? So be aware and understand, like, what you putting yourself into, and understand what you're doing to your body, and understand, like, you gotta face your problems. You can't go to weed and all types of drugs to fix your problems, because you just building up more pain and more problems. And you gotta understand, you gotta deal with that shit. If you're not a man or a woman if you don't sit and deal with your problems and trying to figure that shit out. You just not. That's real shit. AC Lucky signing out. You feel me?